Welcome to the Golf Spotlight. I'm Ralph Irvin here in our golf shop studio, and today we are talking about some amazing innovation in club building that is truly next level. But before we go there, we ask you to click the red subscribe button. Yep, right there. And turn on your notifications by clicking on the bell. We don't ever want you to miss an episode of the Golf Spotlight. But let's get back to the tech, and we are talking about the latest from COBRA. And when I say latest, I mean it. This is next generation concept technology, and it's here today. And dialing in to join us once again is the Vice President of Research and Development with COBRA Golf, and that's Tom Olszewski. Tom, it's great to see you again.
Great, Ralph. Good to talk with you.
You've made a ton of news with the King Supersport 35 putter, and that's because it features a 3D printed head. How'd you get to 3D printing? How did that happen?
Well, that's one of the things that we've looked at for a long time at COBRA Golf. We actually have some intellectual property on it. It goes back a number of years. But really the challenge was, where is the capability of these technologies? Our engineers scour the earth to learn about everything that we can think of that may help us build a better golf club. And we continually are on the search for that. So that's something that our team looked at very hard. Took a few years to kind of get to some partners that can help us make these products. And when you think about the partnership, in this case, we're partnering with HP. They're a printer company. Their goal is to sell millions of printers around the world to do all kinds of things. Obviously, the traditional printing that we know with paper is great, but we're looking at this thing. How can we print other materials? What can we do with that? How can we design now that we can print these other materials? So it's some great new, exciting things. And one of the things that HP talked about us with this partnership is, when you look at some of the things they've done, for instance, a shifter knob on a Volkswagen, but people don't walk in the showroom saying, I want to buy the car because of that 3D printed shifter knob. It's a different mindset. But we see these technologies really looking at the world of how we make parts. I don't care what industry it is. And steel parts, particularly, there's trillions of dollars spent every year on making steel parts for anything from cars to washing machines to any kind of industrial equipment. So these industries are really at the birthplace of how do we obsolete some of the traditional practices, increase our capabilities, save weight, all these things that we think about from a structural engineering standpoint. That's what 3D printing is allowing us to do, and we're just scratching the surface now. So, with a putter design, you look at, hey, how can we improve the performance? We know that we can make a much higher moment of inertia. We can provide a lot of shape benefits, and we can print it. So the other thing that's kind of cool about 3D printing, and this is really more of an insight benefit, is we can print a lot of options very quickly and test all those and come up with the best one. So, when you think about technologies that allow us to do things faster inside R&D, that's just going to allow us to make better product faster more often. Now, that doesn't always jive with some of the market cycles and how you launch product, but certainly we expect to be able to make better products by using these technologies. So this is really, as you mentioned, a kind of a concept launch that's very successful so far. A lot of buzz in the industry, and we know that we're going to continue to provide 3D printed options for golfers from COBRA Golf.
Now, this is a shameless plug, but folks should go back to our conversation on the Range podcast from earlier this year. And we talked about the structure that you have at COBRA Golf. You have an innovations team that comes up with ideas, and then you and your team in R&D are able to apply those ideas into golf clubs.
Right. And, their work is, very akin to, what the work of the entire team is. They basically say, hey, let's have an idea. Here's the ideas. Let's go make it. And really, the ideas are, and I've always been in the industry for a long time, said, the hard work isn't always the idea. Now that's, you want to create ideas and you want to see what you get. The hard work is actually seeing what works, So the innovation team also is out there making prototypes. We're making tooling for prototypes in some cases for products that, we don't 3D print. But they're searching the world for these technologies of how we make things faster, how we design things faster, how we design them better, all those things. So it's a multi-year process, Ralph. It's this putter was probably started almost 4 years ago when I think about the early gestation. And some of the idea part of it was even longer. We had the idea years ago, and that's when we started getting intellectual property on it. But really, there wasn't any capabilities to do it cost effectively. And I think the key thing about these technologies, especially when you talk to HP, they're not about making concept cars. They're about selling printers to lots of people to make product very quickly. So that's one of the things that is really keen is it's about speed of production. Some of the other, what we call additive technologies, and there's a number of them out there, are much slower. So when you talk about printing, though, printing is much faster. So that's the one that's kind of jumped to the front, what we see as really being applicable to golf, because people don't quite totally understand all the economics behind it. There's a speed of production that's very important. It's not a concept car. You got to make thousands of parts, sometimes hundreds of thousands of parts in a very short period of time. So the speed of production was key to why 3D printing was something really to dive into and gives us that capability long term over some of the other additive technologies that we looked at.
The timing really is perfect because 2020 has shown you the difficulties that can come with a widespread supply chain. This could alter how you operate overall in the long term.
Exactly. And I think, you're seeing those changes now. Everyone has to adjust and adapt in these situations and try and maximize business. And, COBRA has always been great about thinking of new ways to do things. And you see us over the course of our 40-plus year history of doing all kinds of things that we were the first at that really led the industry. So, again, this is another technology we'll believe will continue to lead the industry, into the future.
I'm sure we're going to see some 3D printing in clubs in the near future, and I'm excited about that. If people want to check out the King Super Sport 35 or anything from Cobra Golf, where should they go?
Yeah, CobraGolf.com. Best site in golf.
All right, Tom, it's always great talking with you.
You too, Ralph. Always good fun.
I want to thank Tom Olszewski for joining us here on the Golf Spotlight. Once again, we ask you to click on that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you never miss one of our exclusive features. Follow us on Twitter at Golf Spotlight. On Instagram, you can find us at The Golf Spotlight. And listen to the Range podcast, where we go deep into the portfolios of great creators like Tom Olszewski and learn the stories behind some of your favorite designs. And finally, we want to thank you for joining us here on the Golf Spotlight as we continue to give you the information that you need for your next golf purchase.